welcome all of you. Well, today we are talking on Women's Day about what else? Women, of course. But you think of women and you think of beauty, and which is, you don't think of intelligence generally. You don't think of her glow from within or her energy, how she manages skillfully everything. But here today, for a change, we'll talk about women not in the perspective of looks, but in the perspective of her health. And as WHO defines, health is not just about physical health, it's also physical, mental, emotional, may I add spiritual, and all that stuff, all of it, holistic health. So, welcome to Essential Conversation series, and it's been hosted by Viveda. Thank you very much. And today we are shifting the spotlight now, as I said, from the appearance of a woman to how a woman should sustain her energy, how she can manage to, or she manages so skillfully handling home and work and all that. All right, so let's get going, friends. We are joined by Ms. Yamuna Devi, who's a yoga teacher and therapist, and whose a profound work with breath and somatic healing guides women back to their embodied strength. We'll get connected to her in a while. We have with us Dr. Kanika Kalyani. She's a gynecologist. I want our speakers to raise their hand. That would be nice and say hi like this. So we have with us Dr. Kanika Kalyani, a gynecologist. Hi. An IVF specialist who brings immense medical wisdom and compassionate clarity to the deeply personal journeys of women's health. Welcome, Dr. Kanika. So after the good doctor, we have another good doctor, Dr. Niketa Sonavane, a celebrity dermatologist who brilliantly bridges the gap between advanced clinical precision and conscious holistic care. Hi, once again, and welcome. Welcome, Dr. Niketa. We're also joined, lucky to have with us, Ms. Madhubala Sharma. We have with us Ms. Madhubala Sharma, a leadership and inclusion strategist who completely redefines what it means to lead with dignity, inner vision, and unwavering purpose. And now we have with us Ms. Astha Kataria. Hello. Hi. Welcome. Ms. Astha is the managing trustee of the Ashoka Group of Schools, a leader who embodies resilience, responsibility, and the quiet power of shaping the next generation. Welcome, Ms. Astha Kataria. And next we welcome Ms. Soumya Gupta. Hello. Hi. Welcome, Ms. Soumya. She's a clinical nutritionist who understands that true lasting vitality is built plate by plate, viewing deep nourishment as our foundation. I couldn't have put it any better than this. And finally, we have Dr. Nalini Bagul. Dr. Nalini Bagul. All right. Dr. Nalini Bagul will be joining us very soon. She's a veteran consultant gynecologist whose decades of clinical practice brings clarity, long-term wisdom, and profound scientific depth to a woman's lifelong well-being. So, as I mentioned in the beginning, our theme is radiant from within. Now, let's first go to Dr. Kanika Kalyani. And Dr. Kanika, I want to ask you that when we often talk about women, they have very complex bodies. You think of all the concoction of hormones that work around her. How do you explain as to how a woman can deal with this whole changing hormones at different phases of life, and how best can she cope with it?
So first, most important thing is awareness, and it's a very important question. And definitely, women go through a roller coaster of hormones, and only women can understand what women go through.
Exactly.
I'm so glad that today's session is not about women; it's for women. Okay, so it's very important that women are aware. Young girls nowadays, menarche is starting so early. Previously, the average age was 12 to 13. Now it's 10, 11. So the young girls, it's very important for them to be aware that they might start menarche. What are the precautions? What are the safety measures? What is the hygiene that they should maintain? And once they start, it's very important that a woman is aware of the reproductive cycle. It's when something abnormal, she feels something out of the way, she should understand that she should not think, oh my god, what's happening with my body. She should know that, okay, these are the hormones and I know how to work around them. So it's very important for them to be aware of the follicular phase in the first 15 days. The mood is good during menstruation. Some normal pain is okay, a little bleeding is okay, but when it's heavier, when it's more than 3 to 5 pads per day, it's abnormal. When the pain is so much that they are not able to carry out their daily routine activities, now that's abnormal. Mild pain which can be managed with over the counter drugs is okay. Irregular cycles, she should be aware that, so many women come to me complaining that uh, we have abnormal cycle irregular cycles, but when it's a teenage girl, we have to understand that their hypothalamo pituitary axis is still developing, just like a small baby. It first starts to dawdle, to walk a little wobbly, and then starts walking normally. So by 18 the cycle should be regular. She should understand about the premenstrual symptoms. She's feeling bloated, she's feeling upset, there are mood swings. That's because the hormones are crashing inside. So it's very important to be aware, and that will give them empowerment.
You just talked about when menarche sets in. What about the post-menopause phase? There are hot flushes and lots of symptoms. And nowadays we're also talking about perimenopause. Could you
Yes.
just describe these two, I mean, both the phenomena, peri and post?
Yes, yes, totally. Now, just as menarche is as important, similarly, it's important perimenopause. And nowadays, we all know that millennials must be in perimenopause now or menopause. So, millennials, everybody says they're not aging, but we don't know what's happening inside. We don't know the hormonal play. So, perimenopause is when the woman needs to really get up and start taking care of her health. And I will not say it's just the physical health. Physically, yes, the nutrition should be very good. They should take adequate amounts of calcium. And everybody says that with old as you grow old, you should not do strength training. But on the contrary, around it's the time around perimenopause and menopause, of course under guidance, but weight bearing exercises keep the bones alive. They prevent you from osteoporosis. So important, first of all, to take care of your bones around perimenopause and menopause. So you can, the woman, we advise all women to take good supplements, to take the right amount of calcium, good vitamin D. Okay, let me tell you one very interesting thing. The whole India is deficient in vitamin D.
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
so we were doing vitamin D, even young infertile. So I deal with infertile women. So I used to see 99% women with low vitamin D levels. So it's so important to take vitamin D supplementation. And I'm sure Soumya will agree with me on this. It's so important to take good amounts of calcium, weight bearing exercises, and the mental health. Women should take charge of their mental state at this time. We tell them that you should go for yoga, you should go for meditation. Even the spiritual health really matters here. So we have to the awareness that these symptoms can happen. The skin may become, the vagina can feel dry. There are solutions for all these problems. The awareness that this is just because of hormones is important. Otherwise, the woman can go into depression, that why is all this happening with me? I'm growing old, something is wrong. But there are many good ways to deal. And yes, one important point I would like to mention here, that to prevent from cardiovascular diseases, to prevent from heart attack, it's very important to maintain a good diet, nutrition, and exercise at 40. So 40 is very important. It's an age where every woman should awaken.
Right. It's ironical indeed that the whole of India now is having shortage of vitamin D, whether it's men or women. Ironical, I say, because we are a tropical country and we have so much of, as they say, Surya Devta ki kripa hai. Lekin phir bhi, because maybe because we're getting so used to being in ACs and we say sun is bad, sunlight is bad. We have kind of created this misconception. All right. I think 15-20 minutes of sunlight should be good enough for vitamin D every day.
And that too every day in the morning. The maximum vitamin D is taken up by your skin at around 8 a.m. It's important that you take vitamin D in the morning hours.
Yeah, and I heard somebody saying that our sari is a very good, that's why I'm wearing a sari. It's a very good dress because our back, when the back is exposed to vitamin D, the best absorption happens from the back. So, and our sari is such a drape that our back is exposed and that absorbs the sun energy. All right, so much for traditional wisdom. We move on. All right, let's move on to Ms. Astha Kataria. As I just mentioned, she's the managing trustee of the Ashoka Group of Schools. And I'd like to ask you, you are now when you're handling schools, when you're handling children, how do you ensure that they are given responsibility, the quiet power of shaping that next generation, which is so precious to us? As somebody said, that if you educate a man, you educate one person, you educate a woman, you educate entire family. How are you pushing that through, ma'am?
That leading an institution, any institution for that matter, it's not just about administering that institution, but it's more about how you nurture your people around. How do you lead by the right example? How do you impact lives, and how consciously you make decisions when you know that every decision of yours is going to impact many.
Correct.
And a lot of times we see that to stay strong every single time is important. To be resilient is very important. However, I believe that when you are very clear with why you are doing what you are doing, that is when you are clear about your purpose, and when you're deeply connected with your purpose, then you absolutely know what needs to be done, how it needs to be done. You can keep pushing yourself and people around, because when I'm driven by purpose, then I'm going to set the right examples. I'm going to ensure that my ecosystem, my surroundings, are that well nurtured. Success can never be achieved alone. Leadership is not a demonstration of how much I know or what do I do. It's more to do with how do I encourage my team? How do I, empower people around me? How do I build trust? And how can I create a ripple effect so that many can follow the similar example, and ultimately I can develop a very good culture? Because without having a culture, without having that whole ecosystem, I can't nurture, forget about young minds, I can't even nurture my educators. And I believe as an educational institute, we are all learners. We are all young learners. With that spirit, when you enter every single day, you not only empower and nurture young lives, you empower everyone around you, and you nurture everyone around you. So that's what I believe in.
So, are you, because you have so many institutions, you have the power to enforce soft skills and to make the children aware, especially the girls aware and the educators aware of what to impart to the next generation, particularly girls, so that they come out more aware, more refined, and more clued into the changing times. How do you do that? Do you have any system of introduction of yoga in school or meditation in school? That comes from our tradition. Our ancestors gave us this beautiful power. We are now celebrating 21st June as the International Yoga Day. Do you have any such system? In corporates, I know you have games and you have these, processes. Do you have any such processes or games or traditional systems built into your institution so as to empower and make our girls aware?
So thanks for asking this question, a topic very close to my heart. So being an edupreneur, the whole reason of me shifting from a technical electronics background to education is about making a shift in education, where we definitely don't want to talk about, delivering curriculums, but we want to talk about nurturing wholesome human beings.
Yes.
And when we say that, then all the elements which you were asking me, whether it is coming through yoga or it is coming through some set of activities which we lead, which can nurture them and make them more human. And I believe today's era, the world we live in, we need this the most. So how do we do that? Yes, there are many set programs within the institute. Age-appropriate programs are there, which we run throughout, and again, it's more imparted as a culture where every single activity which happens for a defined purpose. The purpose is very clearly indicated and informed to students and parents. Say, for example, we run a complete magic of happiness. This is something we have defined within our educational framework. This is a curriculum which talks about how important it is to be happy. And then happiness cannot just come, you tell me to be happy and I am be happy. That doesn't work like that. For me to know the magic of happiness, I need to hone certain skills internally. I need to internalize certain domains of happiness. So what are those? So we have taken inspiration from Harvard, and we have taken inspiration from a different science of SQ, EQ, spiritual quotient, emotional quotient, more than intelligent quotient, which I believe academics works a lot, and we all ensure as parents, as educational bodies, that students are thriving with their EQ possible. But how do you work on their EQ, emotional quotient, and how do you work on their SQ? How do you work on their adversity quotient? That's something which we try to build. That's something which we have weaved through Magic of Happiness curriculum, where students have a lot of internalization through storytellings, case studies, role plays, and therein they instill the habit of self-regulation, self-awareness. I need to be aware of what's going within me. If I'm not aware, I won't be able to regulate. If I'm not able to regulate, I won't be able to instill the basic values of discipline, self-determination, empathy. So all these elements which leads to me as more human, showing more humanistic behavior. That's something which we are incorporating through Magic of Happiness. This is one such example I have given. Apart from that, our entire culture, whether it is through assemblies or through activities or through, field trips or through adventure trips, we build a lot of these things so that we can nurture more holistically all the students. So that has been the journey. And most importantly, I would like to address here is we see that educators are equally imbibed there. In all these things, they are equally educated. They are equally informed on these things, because unless the child sees that in action around them, they won't be able to imbibe it. Rather, they will get confused on what needs to be done.
As I say, example is better than percept. You keep teaching, no point, but you actually see it happening, then the children will imbibe. Do you think, I want to ask you this question, that do you think the challenges today, I'm actually very happy you mentioned emotional quotient, because everyone today talks of IQ, but when you see children getting married, they see, acha, okay, kya karta hai ladka, but EQ is so very important, whether it's a home or whether it is a workplace. So I'm glad you mentioned that. Do you think these are very challenging times for our children, because the exposure is so much, and there's so much of competition and comparison happening, which is so unfair, because in India particularly, failure is not seen as a negative connotation, whereas it is nothing but a stepping stone to success, as I would see it. And I'm very happy when parents say, okay, our child got 60% and we are celebrating. So in these times, do you think the pressure on you to teach and on children to imbibe these softening skills is much more?
Indeed, it is. Because, again, all what you said, I agree, like the comparison, the competitive spirit around, whether it is coming from parents, whether it is passed on through educators, whether it is directly taken by the child because of the exposure the child is in. A lot of times we see that nobody has asked you, nobody is asking you to achieve a certain degree of performance, whether it's academically or in any of the sports which you are pursuing. But the child himself or herself is so much, judging himself or herself because of the social media pressure, because of the lot of factors which are playing around. We are living in such a false equilibrium around us. We feel, because of social media again, because of I've seen in real life that students at such young age, whenever you come across them in a societal this thing also, you see that they're all the time, they're in that race or rush to outperform, to look good, to be in that perfect world. So it is very difficult for them. Parents are very, very well informed. They have all the aspirations, because I have one or two kids, mostly one kid nowadays.
Yes.
I have all my dreams pouring into that child. So saying all this, it is challenging. However, this challenge can only be mitigated by bringing awareness, by sensitization, and by continuously, working on this. It is not like a one time thing. And that when I say bringing awareness, sensitization, that is not restricting to students.
Correct.
Rather, that should start from us.
Correct.
Us adults, teachers, parents, society, because we all have our own expectation stories. So the child also needs to understand how the child needs to be comfortable with his or her imperfections. And just one more element, the beauty with this generation is that they are very vocal. I believe when we were kids back then, we suppressed a lot of our emotions. We were not trained, or rather, speaking very openly was treated as a not so good behavior. What I like in this generation is that they are very open, they are very clear with what they want, what they don't want. All we need is to just navigate them and bring these little values so that they can have a good adaptability with this changing world.
I totally agree. And to just add to what you just said, I totally agree with you that girl students are under more pressure because once they become wives, the jobs are equal. They are on the same platform as men, earning maybe more. But the role model in Indian society is that they must conform to the typical, that she must cook, she must look after the house. But the man continues to remain steer clear of the kitchen and taking care of kids, which has added a lot of stress on our women and today's girls who are married. More on that later. We move on, and we have with us, as I just mentioned, Miss Soumya Gupta, who's a clinical nutritionist, and she understands true lasting vitality, how it is built for women. Soumya, it's very important that women take care of nourishment. Whether it is a few years ago, a few decades ago, where women would say, okay, and today also, somehow the conditioning is such that the lady of the house will say, "Acha, usko de do, usko de do, usko de do." मैं तो biscuit खा के मेरा breakfast, I'm done. How do you is there a method, Soumya, where, as I say, for a woman who is working, for a woman who's multitasking and handling so many roles, is there a possibility? Let's say I would, if I was working, when I would go to work, I'd probably, if I had to carry biscuits, I would just carry ragi biscuits made in ghee and gur. And sure, do you think there is a possibility?
Absolutely.
What
I
tips can you
love
give?
your question. I love your question, because so I was saying that I absolutely love your question, Lalima ji, because I'm a millennial. I'm in my mid 30s, and what I've been noticing is that I would have never thought of this, but the more I work with people of my age who are nearing to their 40s, सबसे कॉमन चीज I've been hearing, which I thought was only my mother का generation का problem, is कि आई नेवर थॉट कि मेरा जनरेशन भी ऐसा करेगा, बट हमारे में भी ऐसा होता है, मेरे एज के लोगों में भी ऐसा होता है. एंड नॉट जस्ट दैट लेट एवरीवन एल्स ईट एंड देन आई विल ईट, बट also treating themselves last, even with what they will eat, is a big problem. So treating themselves as someone who just eat whatever's left, treating themselves as someone who will not care enough about what they like to eat, and they'll make only food that others in the house like to eat. And definitely not prioritizing themselves in the sense that they have so much to multitask. काम करना है, घर संभालना है, वर्कआउट करना है, सोशल लाइफ जीना है, पर खाने में like how you would think of the ragi biscuits, the healthier version of biscuits, like that in our tradition already exist nutrient dense snacks, say the ragi laddu, or say the matri which you eat with achar, things like chikki, things like peanuts, cashews, dates, so many things that you can just carry and eat on the go. And these have existed for generations together in our culture, which we just need to think about, put our mind to, and plan for ourselves and just carry, so that we are also well nourished and not looking at देखेगा जब प्रॉब्लम आएगी तब उसको रिजॉल्व करेंगे, so for the energy that we need to multitask and go on in our lives, we must look at all of these traditional foods that already exist in our kitchen and make use of them.
Right. And I think we are lucky in these days because you do get small packets of chicky. There is I think, as they say that opposite values are complementary in life. You have on the one hand people who are extremely careless. They will just go and have junk food all the time. There's another set I find that, both the things are happening side by side. There is another set of women who are so conscious that they will now carry healthy snacks with them and they are available in the market. Like you have small packets of chicky which you can carry in the purse. As we just mentioned, now the ragi is in. Now we talk about brown rice and things like that. And if you have to have something sweet, to chini ki jagah gur le lo. So there are ways out. What other tips can you give to a woman who is working, who's multitasking all the time, and they always say, as a mother, a mother is the best skill she has is कि अगर बच्चा नहीं खाता है greens तो उसको परांठा बना के और बोलो खा ले थोड़ा झूठ बोलकर. So can you give us some tips for mothers who have to look after their children and for themselves? कुछ ऐसे tips आप बताएंगे मैम?
पहली टिप ये होगी for all those women who look after their children or the household is that पहले खुद का देखो and बाकी के सब संभल जाएंगे, because our day starts with, oh, let me wake up my child and get her ready to go to school. But even before that, invest 5 minutes time in just yourself. So you wake up to eating something and not in thinking ki, oh, how do I get started with the day of waking up the child. So the first tip is to just wake up and eat something small. So whether it is a fruit, whether it is some dry fruits, whether it is just a date, but eat something and start your day even before your responsibilities start for the day. That's the first tip. Second tip is, if you are someone who starts a day early, which mostly women do because they have series of tasks lined up for themselves, is that eat a breakfast timely. मैंने ज्यादातर देखा है that women feed the whole house, especially when it comes to breakfast, because it's the buzzing hour of the day, and then they'll eat the breakfast last. But that is the biggest game changer for them. So from headaches to irritation to low energy to cravings to bloating, everything starts from this meal. So women should eat the breakfast even before they feed anyone else, because they, along with others, have so many things to do throughout the day, especially if they're working women, because a set routine of how they want to wrap up the house before they leave the house and things like that. So the second thing is that they must eat the breakfast even before they feed everyone else. The third important thing is that whether they are working women or whether they are women working at home, they must eat an evening snack. So we all feel that, oh, abhi, the day is coming to an end. We have another set of responsibilities to start as the day is ending. But evening snack between 4 to 6 becomes crucial for them without just having, like, so basically they shouldn't just have their chai or coffee because वो उनको energy इंक्रीज कर, पर उसके साथ अगर कुछ खाएंगे जैसे कि पोहा है, उपमा है, लेफ्ट ओवर ब्रेकफास्ट, सैंडविच और लड्डू और मठरी अचार, it works very well to make sure that they sleep well, because this is the time when cortisol is dipping naturally, the stress hormone, and eating a snack along with the chai coffee will ensure that the cortisol doesn't stay high but it reduces naturally, and that has a big influence on the sleep quality. So that's the third thing that women should do to take care of themselves.
Wonderful. And what is your take on these days? There's a lot of talk about the toxicity which emanates from the kitchen, which probably a working woman will oversee. Like they say, don't use aluminum foil, don't use aluminum utensils, they poison your body. Don't use plastic wrap because, again, hot plastic means it's leaching toxins, dioxins into the food. And no non-stick because it's cancerous. What is your take on that, Soumya? A quick one.
In the olden days, we would live in minimalistic ways where we wouldn't look for anything and everything in terms of, like, we weren't big consumers. Today, we are big consumers in every sense. So, convenience ek taraf, but convenience at the cost of your health, resorting to things like the aluminium foil, the plastic dabbas, the water bottles, or, like even gharo mein, instead of matkas, like the olden days, we have the Bisleri or the water filters, right? So all of these things slowly and gradually over the years affect our health. So obviously we shouldn't have aluminium cookware or the aluminium foil. We shouldn't have plastic water bottles or the plastic containers in which maybe we store our chutneys, the needy green chutneys. Um,
Yes.
we should not, have we should store our vegetables and stuff in muslin cloth or breathable material versus plastic, because that's also something so basic but we don't think that's important, and just because we just go on with things. We shouldn't store our salt, sugar, all of these things in plastic containers and use steel versions that we've always used in the past. Coming to this point, also, I feel that the utensils that we use for eating, so we all get gifted silverware at special occasions, but we use them for being stored in the lockers and we don't use them on a daily basis. So, something as basic as that, something that is used for celebration, we are storing them but not using them. So, I think women should also start using the silverware that they have at home to eat their food in on a daily basis to improve their health.
All right. Great, great. Thank you so much for these lovely tips. Because when you go to a doctor and say, I have a headache, he'll never ask you, he'll simply prescribe the medicine. But this awareness is extremely important for the lady of the house to look after herself and the family as to where the toxins are coming from in the house. Thank you very much, Soumya, for that enlightening discussion. We move on, and now we have with us Dr. Nikita Sonavane. Dr. Nikita. Oh, hi, hi. Dr. Nikita Sonavane is a celebrity, a celebrity dermatologist, and she bridges the gap between advanced clinical precision and conscious holistic care. Dr. Nikita, it is always said that the skin reflects the kind of person you are. If you are eating well, it will show on your skin. And we do definitely trying to, if I may take the risk of, putting all the beauty parlors out of business, let me
Hello.
add that skin is not just about facials. Skin is also about what is going inside the body. That reflects on the skin, the glow. If you're doing some kind of exercise, if you're doing some kind of pranayam, the oxygen goes to the various organs of the body, various cells of the body, and it will reflect on the skin.
Yes,
What do you have to add to that? How do you explain that?
this is beautifully summarized. And for me, I feel that beauty comes more from within than without. So, anytime when I have a consultation sitting in front of me, I will not only ask them about what skincare you use or what treatments you've had. I want to know everything about their life, what they
Mm.
eat, how they sleep, how they poop, and many other things apart from just what skincare and treatment they're doing. Because your skin truly is the largest organ of your body and it is the most visible organ of your body. So, if anything is off inside your body, the first place you're going to notice it is in your skin and, of course, on your hair. It's for me, it's like, if you have a limited amount of nutrients, say vitamins are not, they're on the deficient side, or hormones are on the imbalanced side, it's going to show on your skin. What else is going to show on you? Where is that acne coming from? Where is the hair loss coming from? It's not coming from a wrong shampoo that you did. It is basically coming from the fact that your body couldn't handle even that wrong shampoo or that little bit of hard water that you might be washing with. Or many women would say that, do I tend to wear makeup for work, so is that giving me acne? I'm sure that is giving me acne. But then the makeup is only part of the problem. It's that your skin can't handle that makeup. So it's the problem is always much deep within. It's like 90% of the problem is from inside and only 10% comes from the outside. So, Dr. Kanika rightly said earlier, vitamin D. I mean, when I'm doing my consultations, I usually want to give a bunch of blood tests to every single patient, depending on their history. And every single person, unless they have taken supplement, a woman, man, or child, is deficient in vitamin D, deficient in vitamin B12, deficient in the most important form of iron, which is ferritin. And unless I help them by telling them what dietary measures to take, what supplements are right, what lifestyle modifications they could do, I'm never going to be able to solve their skin and hair issue just by giving them, even the best creams, even the best lasers will be incomplete at giving the kind of result that the human biology, the human body, which is, it can give that kind of result just by balancing the internals. Of course, skincare is important. It has its own role to play. I like to put it in like a pyramid. I explain it to my patients. The biggest part is what's happening inside. Are you well balanced? How is your gut health? Because that's going to show up on your skin. How are you digesting your nutrients? How much at peace you are? How is the cortisol level? Are your periods on time? Are you bleeding heavily? Is there any endometriosis? Is there any, prolactin excess? There are so many things. A woman or even a man is a bunch of hormones and vitamins, and they are all, it's all like a spider web. One thing is off and many things start showing the result. So if someone has migraine going on, not sleeping well at night, has cystic acne, has hair loss issues, there's something off about the prolactin hormone. It tells me that. And then accordingly, when I do the blood test, there's a long discussion we have, especially working towards the diet. Like Dr. Soumya also said, avoiding microplastics, the plastic containers that we usually store our food in. Bottled water is the number one poison of today. Anyways, the air that we are breathing is so polluted. I mean, it's crazy. The vitamin D that you were saying on the open back, that is an amazing area to get vitamin D, because the vitamin D is formed from early morning sun, like Dr. Kanika said. It has to be the early morning sun, the UV rays falling on open skin. And the largest area of singularly open skin is a back, even in case of a woman, even in case of a man or a child. But the problem today also is that because of the global warming and the pollutants that are there in the air and the smog effect, the kind of wavelength that we need for that vitamin D to form isn't coming in. So even though we try in the city, etc., that 10 minutes, just 10 or 15 minutes early morning, you wake up, try to be in your balcony with your cup of tea, it's not helping. People are doing that. People are going for shirtless runs. Those are the men going for shirtless runs in the morning, because this fact is now popularized that, okay, open skin, vitamin D, early morning, they are not getting. I'm testing them and they're not getting. So supplements are becoming a reality of life. And, I always bring it up, make it a point to explain to my patients, something that our ancestors were doing was very, very right. You eat your ghee. You sleep early, you eat early, wake up early, wake up in the Brahma Muhurat, do your meditation, and your early morning, the 5 a.m. club that we talk about, it's all there. Our ancestors were doing. And if we just get back to that, then for me, when someone tells me, doctor, my acne or doctor, my hair loss, if they're doing all of these things, it makes my life a lot easier. It means that every skincare that I give them, even if it's the simplest thing or any singular laser treatment or whatever I do, their body is ready to give the kind of response that we want it to give. And the human body is an amazing machine. It's the most amazing machine that ever existed. It can do unbelievable things, provided you get the basics right.
Correct. Correct. I totally agree with you. We have maligned a lot of our traditional things like ghee, but actually ghee, especially if it's of the desi cow or the A2 ghee as we call it, it's
Yes.
excellent to drink and to apply.
Yes.
And you do a bit of pranayam. I mean, we've had a lot of, in our tradition, alom vilom is there, and then Bhastrika and Kapal Bhati. And we have Swami Ramdevji teaching. We have Shri Shri Ravi Shankarji teaching in the art of living, the Sudarshan Kriya. All these I've seen people who practice really have a glow on their face.
Yes, they do.
Yeah.
And the skin patients, I tell them, there's always, we want them to exercise to oxygenate better, but there will always be the excuse, I'm working off hours and the hours are too long and I can't find time. My simplest answer to that is do your Surya Namaskars. Why can't you put on, just in your living room, just start doing your Surya Namaskars. You do back to back, how many ever you can. Initially, you might be able to do just 5. It could be 10 later. It could be 30 later. That itself oxygenates your body, makes the flexibility so much better. It is mentally calming. And if you've completed your Surya Namaskar, you're getting bored with it, do the Chandra Namaskar. That's a more elaborate version of it. So here, when patients come to me, they're like, are you like a dermatologist or you feel much more than that? And I take pride in that, because doctors also should learn to connect the dots from various symptoms that the patient is facing from the person point of view, and also connect our ancestral wisdom with the most modern knowledge. And there you have, an Indian doctor who is rich with knowledge from the past, present, and future. And that is the best doctor you can have.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree with you more. Maybe we could connect with you a little later. We have to just hop on to Ms. Madhu Bala Sharma. Excellent points you've given. And it's nice that you are talking about traditional wisdom, because it's timeless, it's time proven. So you can't beat that. You can do whatever research you like, but traditional wisdom is here to stay. And when foreigners come and pick it up, we just glorify and say, wow. And we pick it up. Yoga became popular when we picked it up from abroad, but it's been there with us for centuries. All right, more on that later. So thank you so much, Dr. Nikita. We move on to Ms. Madhubala Sharma. She's a leadership and inclusion strategist, and she redefines what it means to lead with dignity, inner vision, and unwavering purpose. What I just read sounds very philosophical. In simple terms, Madhuji, can women afford to become good leaders or decision makers? Because eventually, in a patriarchal setup, the leadership or the decision making usually goes to the man. But can women acquire those soft skills and be a decision maker in the family? And I always believe that men have a linear vision and women have a cyclical, circular vision. They can see many aspects, many perspectives to a particular problem. Men don't. They say, "Bas aise hai ya aise hai." Women say, "Nahi, aise hai to aise hai, aise hai to aise hai, aise hai." Like that. Yeah. Over to you, ma'am. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much. Hi, absolutely wonderful to be here and share the stage with such amazing powerhouse women. And to your question, to my mind, it's like a puzzle, and when we put the man and the woman together, we solve the puzzle. Together, the things that we do, none of us could, complete. I think, let me put it this way, we will all be incomplete without the other. So the value that I can bring, maybe my partner may not be, or the man in the family may not be able to bring. Right. And the value that he brings, maybe I may not be able to bring that. And I would also add and say that a lot of the times people say that, women should be like men. Show that aggression. If you want to be successful as a corporate woman, be that loud voice in the room, dictate. Not at all. How we can lead with compassion, with care, with love, with finesse, that actually exudes a lot of confidence in itself. That's how I look at it. And you're talking about beauty and, leadership. The beauty of leadership also is seen, comes from within. So I happen to be totally blind since birth. And for me, the concept of beauty is just like anyone else too. You all look at the mirror. I look at the mirror too, but how? By maybe touching myself and feel how smooth my skin feels, how good I look, and to my mind I look good. Though not to my mind, I've heard good compliments as well.
We understand what you're saying. No worries. Yeah.
But you see, there's a strong mind-body connection, and the moment we attach a lot of significance to how I am looking, how I'm behaving. Are there a lot of difficulties? Are there a lot of patches? We're looking at external makeup. The moment we look inwards and start doing makeup from within, with dropping the significance of do I look good or not? Secondly, working on being confident within, that I love myself for who I am, not what others want me to be or think I should be. That actually brings in a lot of glow and radiance. Dropping that significance and believing in oneself. Also, I believe that flaws are good. I say flawless flaws. You can't have a skin that is absolutely flawless. There are flaws, right? And those flaws are good. You can't have leadership that does not have flaws. And something that appears like a flaw to someone may be great for another person. So what works for you, look at that and trust your inner iron core, when you trust yourself from within, when you are happy with your own self, that will show externally as well. That mind and body connection. I mean, if you're thinking hard and you're thinking मैं ठीक लग रही हूँ नहीं लग रही हूँ मैंने ठीक किया नहीं किया, automatically facial muscles will start showing tension.
Yes.
But from within, when you're happy, satisfied, and say, let me drop the significance, let me do my best, right? You will glow automatically. That's how I think I took your question to a different direction, but that's how I see it.
No, I think you've placed it very beautifully. And first of all, hats off to you for your success despite the physical challenge. I must admire that first of all. And I would say, हम लोग अपने संस्कृति में बोलते हैं आदमी और औरत एक दूसरे के पूरक हैं. Somewhere this equality thing came in and it's thrown the whole domestic thing out of balance. Many mothers, I've noticed that they work after marriage, but they compromise because it's after, at the end of the day, a woman who gives birth to a child. Nurturing comes very naturally to women. So as you mentioned, I think you very hit the nail on the head when you said that you don't have to be loud to be equal to men in the corporate sector. And yes, as they say, हम तो spiritual guru है हमारा देश. That spiritual connect, I totally endorse Madhuji, that spiritual connect within yourself is very important. Once that happens, awareness happens, you'll be confident and you can then make decision making without feeling guilty. Without feeling कि मैं intrude कर रही हूँ और अपने घर में अगर आप भी equal हो, you can create that space for yourself in the house with love, compassion, tact, skill, right?
Absolutely. And I've been working for over 22 years and I've been married for close over 20 years, raising a young boy who's 18 now. And we work as a unit. We work as a family. My husband's also totally blind. Our son can see. My husband makes tea for me.
Lovely.
And you were talking about also in one of the conversations, how do you feed your children? It's a task, I tell you. But what I've learned is plating well, and my son can see, right? So plating well, making it nice to look at, and packing with nutrition. You were talking about parathas packed with vegetables. So, चने की सब्जी बनी है वो बची है उसका पराठा बना दो अच्छे से, साथ में कर्ड दे दो और कुछ फ्रूट दे दो सजा के प्लेट में, तो
Exactly.
and that will absolutely enhance the beauty from within. And as a family, when you work together, when you say things subtly, politely, लोगों का भी करने का मन करता है. अगर मैं प्यार से बोलूं चाय नहीं पिलाओगे, people tease me for that, but I do that and I get it and I have my way. We all have our way. With each other. So that's how I think.
But you can win hearts through compassion. You're right. Instead of fighting meri jagah, meri equal space, you can do it with love. I remember that story we read in school. A man was wearing a coat. The sun said, I'll make him remove the coat. The wind said, I will make him remove the coat. The harder the wind blew, the more the man clung onto the coat. But when the sun appeared, the man quickly removed the coat. So आप प्यार से उस तरह से आप अपनी बात मना सकते हो tactfully. And I think personally, I feel I have lovely ladies here with me, accomplished in their own field. I personally feel that, you can do things tactfully rather than soft skills are not taught in schools. There is in our education system so much focus on success, marks. But I guess the new education policy will bring in some change here and there. If the children are introduced to soft skills of EQ, somebody mentioned beautifully, emotional quotient, then things may improve for the woman, for the lady of the house, either as a student, either as a daughter, or as a mother, or as a wife, in whichever role the girl comes forward. Thank you very much, Madhuji. It was really nice talking to you. I move on. Last but not the least, we have with us Dr. Nalini Bagul. She's a veteran consultant gynecologist, and she's had many years of clinical gynecology and long-term wisdom and a lot of scientific depth to women's well-being. How do you, Dr. Nalini, as a gynecologist, contribute to a woman's well-being? It's not just about having a baby, right? It's much more as a woman as a whole. How do you think she can enrich herself, enrich her life while being a mother, but playing different roles and create a space for herself? Your take, Dr. Nalini. Yes.
Yeah, first of all, thank you very much for having me here in this conversation with all the dermatologists and other doctors. Firstly, it's sorry because the light over here. I'm at the airport right now in the parking area, waiting for my son to come. Meantime, I'll be conversing with
It's
you.
okay.
It's
Thank
okay.
you.
Yes, thank you so much. Yeah. Secondly, you have asked me the question that is apart from motherhood, what are the other roles she has to play? See, in the human life, that is in the woman's life, there is puberty, then the woman that is the pregnancy, then perimenopausal period and the menopausal period. Till the pregnancy, the adolescent and the pregnancy, it is the health which is very good in terms of diabetes, blood pressure, and other things. But yes, after pregnancy, we need to take care of our health. That is the diseases such as hypertension, diabetes. Secondly, other diseases that is the hormonal imbalances and some cancers that is the uterine cancers, then the ovarian cancer, breast cancer is the number one cancer in our in India. And then one should deal with the obesity also. So these are the diseases that woman has to deal with. So if the woman's lifestyle, that is the we say that the sleep, diet, exercise is excellent, and if she is taking care of all these things, and if she is not taking the stress, or she is letting go of certain things, and some environmental toxins also affect the woman. These environmental toxins are means these are the hormonal disruptors, that is they produce the more.
Yes, we briefly touched upon environmental toxins. There are two things I want to ask you. The role of family support, especially during pregnancy. They say pregnancy may, lady ke chehre pe glow aa jata hai. Often it is said, So I want to talk about two things. The family support, because there are various changes a woman's body is going through. And there is a lot of, the market forces are very cruel. They're all the time body shaming, which is so cruel. And that we have these supplements of newspapers coming, and all the time there's everything around us, the whole media glorifying a woman's perfect body, especially after delivery, and that may push a lady to an edge to lose confidence. Usually you get the confidence back. You say, "Nahi, theek hai, hum jaise bhi hain." We have with us Ms. Yamuna Devi, who's a yoga teacher and a therapist, and you can't underrate the importance of yoga. So Yamuna ji, tell us something about how women can increase their stamina, increase their energy, and learn to cope with all the adversities around them which keep happening because the expectations are so huge, especially in our country. How yoga and meditation can help them, and what are your tips for a woman to practice this? And it shouldn't be difficult because India is a hub. It's this is where yoga originated. We have 21st of June as the International Yoga Day. The whole world is now imbibing yoga from us. Your tips, ma'am.
So, my tips for incorporating yoga and meditation into your daily life would be to find a yoga teacher or a yoga studio close to your home and take the time to practice once or twice a week. Find a teacher or a style or a time that would work for you, because in this day and age, when there's a lot of demands, a lot of stress, a lot of requests or energy that the women have to give to their families, to their husbands, to their daily lives. It's really important that we take time also for ourselves, to listen to ourselves and do something which is healthy, like a yoga practice is a holistic practice. It works not just on the physical body, but also on the mental body, and also helps the nervous system to relax. It helps us to create a space where we can release everything that we're holding on to and bring more peace and more calm energy into our lives. So I would recommend for people to find a place where they can practice, and definitely make it a daily practice or a weekly practice, and bring the yoga practice into their lives as a tool to help them to deal with the daily stresses and tensions that can accumulate. So for yourself, something that you can do just at home would be to create a quiet space. So maybe you have a temple room or a space that you won't be disturbed, and you can place yoga mats there, maybe light an incense, a candle, and create a kind of space where you can just be without being disturbed. And then I would suggest some breath work. So there's a very beautiful 3-part breath, which is breathing into the lower belly, just long, slow, deep breaths into the lower belly. And then you bring that breath to your chest, you hold it, and then you exhale everything out. And I would do this for a few rounds just to help you to clear and detoxify with the exhalation, and to help you to come into a state of peace. And then perhaps some sun salutations, Surya Namaskar, that can help you to build some strength, some stamina, and to help you to feel strong in your body, to feel empowered, to feel alive, to boost your immune system, to boost your health. So it's really important that as women, we respect the cycles of life, and we respect our bodies, and we really take time to, let's say, take care of ourselves. So self-care, we take time to do something that makes us feel good or helps us to release any particular tensions in our shoulders, in our back. So any simple yoga exercises or postures or movement is really important. The body really needs to have a place where it can move, stretch, strengthen, and release. And yoga is one of those practices that will help you to really dive deeper into your physical body. And then, of course, to have time and space where you can just breathe and you can take deep breaths, because most of the time with the stress of life and everything is moving at such a fast pace, we really need to, more than ever, learn how to slow down and also take time away from our phones and our digital devices, and take time to just be introspective and reflective. And the mind needs stillness. So meditation and taking a moment where you can just be still, to just give time for the mind to process its thoughts, is also very important and necessary. And even just 10 minutes, 10, 15 minutes a day is incredible. So even just 10 or 15 minutes a day, you take time to breathe. Maybe you shake the body, maybe you stretch the body. Just 10 minutes a day, time for yourself, where you can just be with yourself and release what your body is holding on to. You will see an increase in your health and in your mental and emotional well-being.
Can we have a quick one-line comment about how a woman, because you're all, you have a specialty in your own fields, how can a woman enhance her glow or confidence?
Happy तब होंगे happy. डॉक्टर बनकर अरे गायनेक में एडमिशन मिल जाए तब happy होंगे. And we are never happy.
Correct.
That was my example, but this applies to everybody. So do not wait for your happiness. Learn to be happy today when you are on your journey.
So true. Next on my list, Dr. Niketa.
So beauty is always a two-way street. It's half within, half without. A dermatologist can only hold your hand and guide you along. They can't do the journey for you. So the internal holistic part is very, very important. How you eat, how you sleep, how you poop, how you think is as important as what you apply on your skin and what treatments you're doing in the clinic.
Yes, great. Ms. Astha, what's your take?
So for me, radiance from within comes with a good balance of strength, compassion, and self awareness. I can lead without losing my humanity. I can achieve without losing my balance. And I need to nurture others by also nurturing my own self. I believe when this balance is well achieved, we are radiating from within. Thank you.
Great. Miss Soumya, what is the takeaway? What is Miss Soumya, what is your takeaway for a woman's good health, mental, physical, emotional, spiritual? Yes.
So I feel that for all the women, the act of self-love and the act of self-care starts from the food we feed ourselves, and to improve our relationship with food will mean radiating from it.
All right, so I think it's very important that women become confident without trying to be equal to men. They should be confident. They should be happy from within. They should indulge themselves in some bit of nutrition, some bit of meditation, yoga, and create a space for themselves, even if the society or a home doesn't give them that space, and connect with the divine, and that will give them their heightened self-worth. So and their opinion, their self-worth shouldn't be dependent on what others around them are saying. I think that has become a norm. वो क्या कह रहा है, and that's how I should be. वो नहीं होना चाहिए. So on that note, being a healthy woman means being healthy on many, many fronts: physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, financial, of course. More on that later some other time. So thank you very much, all lovely ladies, for spending your time with us. It's been really enlightening and enriching, and I hope our audience also has good lot of takeaways from this beautiful discussion. Thank you and namaskar.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, and thanks to each one of you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Lalima ji, for such a beautiful session. And also, I would like to add here, like as Dr. Soumya said, that self-care is not indulgence; it's important. It's essential. When a woman feel good in herself, then she can only, radiate in a way and take care of the family. So that hormone has to be at place when she take care of self-care. Yeah. Thank you, everyone, for joining, for giving your precious time. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Have a good day.
Thank